Hello. Today we'll talk about the genius of the American voter. There has been a lot of criticism of the people who brought President Trump into the presidency, into power. But it's very interesting to keep in mind how smart the American voters have been. So, what exactly did they vote for? What exactly did Trump do to garner those votes from a whole lot of people, from a whole lot of segments? I think the American voter voted to get runaway national debt under control, 36 trillion plus counting. They voted for control of the borders after 3 or more years of total chaos at the borders, of total lack of enforcement of the laws that do exist on the books. They voted for smaller government, one where private enterprise does not get crowded out, one where the government does less and the private enterprise does more. Ballooning size of the government has been a bane of most governments worldwide. It balloons the pension plans, the pension owed to the employees, also crowds out the space for the private businesses when the government does too much. Now, the voters also voted for fewer regulations. They voted to halt self loathing wokeness, or at least get them under control. They voted to get the cancel culture under control before it ruined many more lives or careers. They voted to get some semblance of meritocracy back. They voted to get back to equal opportunity for all from divisive equal outcome paradigms, pushed by most Democrats, it seems, for over a decade. For a long time, we've had equal opportunity in the law books as the paradigm for societal change. That changed to equal outcome thanks to a whole lot of Democratic pundits who thought equal opportunity wasn't good enough. Be that as it may, the people have spoken, it seems. In short, the American voter voted for sanity and trying to get away from the nonsensical insanity and addressing esoteric non problems or problems of a few while ignoring the problems of the masses, the problems of the many. They voted to get a handle on various notions of entitlement. Now, what do you say about entitlement? Entitlement mentally is defined as a sense of deservingness or being owed a favor when little or nothing has been done to deserve such special treatment. This is in some ways related to the notion of wokeness. But the entitlement I talk about that the American voter voted against is what was on display by the Democratic Party in particular, especially when they were threatening Americans with the end of democracy. They said democracy would end if you don't vote for me. So when they threatened the end of democracy, it's like, can you imagine how the hubris level at that point? It's like the King Louis XV of France saying, Après moi le déluge. So, okay, if you don't vote for me, you're gonna go spiraling down into deluge and die. That's kind of hubris. Is not what Americans wanted from the Democratic Party. Their condescension and effort to blame the constituency who's trying to raise what it feels are valid concerns of the people. Its condensation has been astonishing to behold. Despite having President Biden, who was mentally not all there, can't blame him, but at least the administration didn't have a presidency, so to speak. Despite having President Biden, Democrats felt entitled to run the presidency. That's the entitlement that I am talking about, that the American voter rejected. And the question comes about, will these objectives, the American voters, the reasons why they voted for President Trump's administration, will these objectives, will President Trump's administration, will it be able to deliver on these objectives, on the goals of the voter? Now that's a different question altogether. But it's clear what the people voted for, what they want changed. Therein lies their genius, clarity in what they want to achieve as a society, clarity in what they reject overall in the society. Now, let's come back to President Trump and what he can deliver or cannot deliver, probably. Now, the genius of the President Trump or his administration, what was the what is the good thing about what they've achieved? Recognizing people's concerns, recognizing what political postures work better now. The genius lies in recognizing how US trade policies were not working for the Americans. The genius lies in recognizing how China's dumping of manufactured goods into the US or worldwide was never going to end until you took some drastic actions and bring them to the table to negotiate, where you are able to protect your interest. Now, the people in the US realized that the negotiations with China and the European countries had limited value without a big stick of tariffs that Trump spoke about. People in the US had no appetite for another decade of costly wars, just as they got out of Afghanistan. After 20 years and over $1 trillion spent of wasted money and efforts. So, promoting democracy worldwide was a useless exercise. That's what the people decided, and President Trump's administration, or prior to the elections, recognized that. It's a useless exercise, especially if those societies were not ready for the type of democracy trying to shove down their throats. So one might say, what comes next? Okay, we got this genius of a presidency that figured out what people want, but what comes next? Where do we go from here? In all of these changes coming from the new administration, there is something orthogonal, something separate that'll keep people preoccupied too. They're watching what the government's doing. The economy and the unemployment, or the employment, the job markets are being watched. What issues the voters voted for takes precedence or will be addressed first, hopefully, by the new administration. So it's up to the new administration to prioritize and address these issues that the people voted for. Now, whether these issues have been adequately addressed or have led to the detriment of the people, that will determine the outcome in the midterm elections that's about to come in 2 years. And also in state elections too that come about. So only time will tell how adequately Trump administration will address what the people voted for. Only time will tell if the people are going to be satisfied with the work done by the Trump administration. But let's acknowledge the genius of the people to bring about a change, and the genius of the Trump administration during the election season of recognizing what the people want. So let's watch and see how things are delivered.